Team, welcome to Sales Academy 2.0 for sale by owners closing lines. We just witnessed the exact framework on how to handle any single objection, guys. One thing I did not mention in that last video, not every client is an ideal client. We've talked about this all the time. Not every client is going to actually funnel through that framework, and then that's okay. We hang up the phone and we go to the next. That person didn't make sense. But that framework is almost bulletproof with the right client. I just want you guys to understand, if it's not working with certain clients, that is okay. There's 8 billion people in the world, guys. Everybody needs shelter. Everybody needs a home. We move on to the next, okay? But that framework, if you implement it and you really master the delivery, the tonality, the way to build status, the way to lower sales resistance, you guys will have massive success on the phone, okay? Let's get into it. We open the dialect. We handle objections. They understand our point of view now. They understand that they want to make the most amount of money and that there's a possibility that we can do that for them. We ask qualifying questions. They're motivated. The decision makers are going to be present. It's a deal that you probably want to go ahead and try to take, which we've talked about, selective prospecting and success data. How do we close that appointment? How do we wrap that up, right? The most important part, guys, is that we have to have a little mini discovery phase when we're finding out about motivation, and we have to have what's called a smooth transition into closing, right? How does this work? So John's telling you about his motivation, John's telling you about his move, and then you're going to say, hey, look, John, I don't want to take too much of your time. I appreciate you sharing all of this with me. I do have another phone call, and I'm sure you're busy as well. Based on everything we just talked about right now, at least on my end, I think it would make sense to kind of pop in for 15 or 20 minutes, actually see the home in person and figure out whether or not any of this is a possibility. I'm actually going to be in that neighborhood this week. There's something like, I just want to make sure we work around each other's schedules. There's something like Wednesday or Thursday. Which one of those 2 days work better for you, right? So that is called one, smooth transition. Secondly, I always use the two-way close, guys. Some people have different opinions about the two-way close. I think it's because they don't present it the right way. If you say, hey, John, what works better for you, Wednesday or Thursday? That's not a good two-way close. But if you say, hey, John, look, I'm looking at my calendar right now. Based on this conversation, I think it would be worth at least a 15, 20-minute meeting to figure out whether or not this is worth even exploring. I'm going to be meeting with a couple other sellers in that area this week. Does something like Wednesday or Thursday work better for you? That is the right way to present the two-way close. Once you have a date locked in, right? And before I even get to that, the reason why we do the two-way close is to avoid a no. Hey, John, could you meet Wednesday? No, I can't meet Wednesday, man. And then right back into objections, right? So instead of saying, hey, look, could you do Wednesday? Could you do Wednesday or Thursday? And if they can't do either day, they'll give you the day that they can do it. If not, they're going to go right back into objection handling mode. And we already know the framework on how to get back to the closing line, right? So once we smooth transition, we get that date down. We'll say, hey, John, perfect. So let me look at my calendar for Wednesday real quick. Give me 2 times really quick so we don't go back and forth. You're raising your status again. Give me 2 times on Wednesday that work for you. That way I can cross-reference with my calendar really quick and we can put something in. Oh, I can do 4 or 4:15. Hey, look, let me look at my calendar real quick. So I have an appointment at 2 o'clock that day. Typically my appointments that are successful last about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Just to be safe, could you do 4:30? We're regaining control without making them feel like we're in control. We're regaining control. We are upping our status to the maximum potential because we're saying subconsciously, hey, John, by the way, give me 1 second. Let me look at my calendar. I'm very calendar based. I have another appointment with another seller there. And typically my successful appointments take X amount of time. We're priming them for success. We're priming them that we're a prepared individual that prepares for success. So the right client is going to understand this and feel this, right? Let's go ahead and say we got 4:15 locked in. John, what we have to do now is set very, very, very clear expectations, right? First and foremost, I don't like to trigger sales resistance because appointments do that. I like to say, hey, look, John, by the way, first and foremost, if anything comes up, man, on your end, just let me know with at least a little bit of time. That way, because I do work very calendar based, I would hate to get a call like an hour before I know things come up. But if you can let me know at least 24 hours before if you have to change this appointment, absolutely no problem. So that just lowers sales resistance and they're not going to feel pressured. And really quickly before I let you go, John, just so we're on the same exact page, I don't want any false expectations. I'm not going in there to try to get your business. I don't even know if that makes sense yet. I kind of want to walk through the home, have a conversation with you, figure out whether or not the problems that you have is something that I can solve. If anything does make sense, we'll kind of go over more details. Is that okay? Right? That's a frame. If anything makes sense, we'll go over further details instead of saying we'll sign the agreement. That's a very neutral way to say it. If something doesn't make sense, hey, no problem, man. We shake hands and we go. But that's lowering the sales resistance. And also, I've talked to you guys about this in the past. We want to make sure decision makers are there. So that's a little bit of a tougher conversation. John, let me ask you, I see that your wife is also on title. Is she going to be there as well? Hey, she doesn't have to be there. I make the decisions. Hey, John, the only reason why I ask you that, in the case that we do obviously have a great conversation, I wouldn't want to waste your time twice and have to come back and present it to her as well. So is there a time that the 3 of you guys are going to be there? That way we can all meet and we don't have to duplicate your time, right? So Depending on the situation, if you feel like that person on the phone is the sole decision maker, you can go for that first appointment without everybody there. But typically, this is why I only go for people with less than 2 or less people on title, because it's much simpler. I'll try to get those decision makers present, set a very clear expectation, let them know that, hey, look, if something doesn't make sense, absolutely no problem. But if it does make sense, we'll go over the next details on how to get this process started. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm actually gonna make a completely separate video. Well, we've done that in listing presentation on how to actually get the appointment confirmed. Because if you just disappear for 2 days and then you say, hey, I'm on my way or I'm outside, more than likely there's gonna be what's called a no-show rate. So guys, to quickly recap, this closing lines is very simple. You wanna make sure you have a smooth transition after the discovery period into the two-way close, which is saying, hey, look, John, based on what we just covered today, I really truly feel, based on this conversation, that there's at least an opportunity for us to help. And based on what you put into this house, I think it's at least in your best interest to preserve the equity. Obviously, we don't even know if anything makes sense. I would like to pass by for 15 or 20 minutes. Would you be more available this week on like Friday or Saturday? Two-way close, get in there, make it justified, make it in terms of them. Hey, look, I think I'm looking at this beautiful home, and based on our conversation, it sounds like you want to preserve the equity. Obviously, you want to sell this without an agent right now, objection prevention. But if there was any opportunity that I can actually get you more money for this, I mean, that sounds like that you wouldn't be against it at this point. Two-way close, appointment set, and then we go into the expectations. Obviously, confirm that decision makers are going to be there. We want to make sure we control the conversation, control the appointment, and then also set an expectation, guys, that we'll send them a calendar invite, we'll send them a text message with our information, and we'll be in touch before the appointment to confirm. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this sequence of For Sale by Owners. I'm probably going to analyze this and look at this and probably plug in a couple more small videos, giving you guys some more details on some of these topics. But as always, if you guys have any questions, this is Sales Academy 2.0, guys. We're going to roll out 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. I just wanted to make a condensed version of all the content that we have on school, from all the trainings that I've done that talk about just this, but I wanted to make it into bite-sized consumable videos. That way, all this information can be transitioned into your execution. From your execution, you're going to have questions, which we have the weekly sessions for, and I'm more than happy to make more videos for you guys. Just leave a comment below. I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next series.